blasting off, doggy. We are blasting off. I am live. Go live. There we go. Live. Ready to go. Okay. Do what I do. Pull this out. Open that. No, I don't want that on. Hold on. There we go. Put that up. Ah, jeez, I left the sound on. Hold on. Where am I live? Oh, hold on. I screwed up. I got the sound on over here. There we go. All right. All right, so we'll do that. So I get the, this is the way I do things. I know it's stupid. I know I'm stupid. Oh, don't want that either. There we go. Get over to my links here. All right, I think I'm finally ready. Sorry, a little punchy. A little punchy from Saturday all day in the sun. A good day, though. Was out at the Veterans United Museum. Can you see Joan? Make sure you can see Joan. Let's just adjust Joan a little bit. There you go, Joan. So I was out at the United, what is it called? I am so punchy. The United Memorial Military Museum. No, that's not what it's called. Veterans United Memorial Museum. And so they have like a big parking lot there and space. They haven't, I don't think they've quite built the facility yet, because the museum itself, it's open, but it's in like a little building that kind of looks like one of those prefab trailer dealies. Oh, hey. It is JEC. Hello, JEC. So I looked at it on Google, because I always check out places on Google before I go there. And I'm like, oh, they must have been building it back when Google drove by. And so then I got there, and like, it's still like piles of construction material and like a gravel parking lot. So it's not, it's not a huge facility yet. I expected it to be this giant building, because usually when they build these museums here in America, they're crazily big. And you just wonder, who the hell's paying for all the air conditioning and heating over the years? Because, we have a lot of museums like this. And they're big buildings, and the lights are on all night. So I expected a building like that, and then I got there and was like, oh, they haven't built it yet, really. But they were great guys. They had the entire parking lot for the event. And they had a live band. They had tons of food trucks. I got myself some tacos. That was nice. Some of those really authentic tacos, the kind with the heated up soft tortillas, the corn tortillas. They're really good. I like those. You get the ones out of the box, like Ortega, and they're like crunchy. I'll give them that, but they're not very tasty. I mean, they're okay. For taco night. Like, tacos are kind of like pizza, right? Even when they're bad, they're still pretty good. But, oh my God, these tacos. And they had that green salsa on them. And they were made with real chicken. A little pricey, but totally worth it. Fresh cilantro on top. They were yummy. They were really yummy. So that was my day in the sun. Under my tent, and it kind of like drains your energy sitting all day in the sun. I don't know how people go to the beach and sit in the sun and enjoy themselves. I would be drained of energy if I did that. I'd be like, oh, I'm so exhausted, I don't know why. Yeah, it's because you sit in the sun all day. It doesn't like invigorate me, like moving around. Arden is here. Tacos is like pizza, is like sex, is like beer. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good, and you still rather have it than not. Yeah. Chocolate could fall in that category, I think. Donuts, maybe. although not Dunkin' Donuts. Ugh, I hate Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts has this weird aftertaste that I can't quite put my finger on. I want to imagine it's some sort of petroleum byproduct. That's how bad it is to me. So I don't eat Dunkin' Donuts. I feel like I've hurt my body every time I've eaten a Dunkin' Donuts. And then I go to like a real bakery where they made the donuts fresh, and I eat a donut, and I feel like $1,000,000. So there's like a huge gap there. Somebody needs to do a study on Dunkin' Donuts and figure out what the hell's in them. Are they just putting toxic waste in them? I don't know. I'm not a donut expert. I'm an expert donut eater, I guess, but Ardent says crack. No. I know that crack's supposed to make you feel good, at least. Donuts are easy to screw up. Well, they used to make, I mean, this is really showing my age. Back in the day, when Dunkin' Donuts, they were good because they used to make them at Dunkin' Donuts. They actually used to make the donuts there. And it was like a little bakery. Ardent, that aftertaste is crack. That's why Dunkin' and Tim's are so popular. Now, I would argue that Tim's are similar, but they're not as bad. Like, I had Tim's and I didn't feel like I was gonna die after eating one. Tim Hortons just sprung up right near me, which was crazy because they're a Canadian deal. But yeah, Dunkin' Donuts. See, we have in South Jersey, we have Jack's Donuts. It's only one. It's only one Jack's, and they have fresh made donuts filled with chocolate cream. That's some good stuff. Ardent, my last year in high school, the donut shop in my hometown, the non-chain one, went out of business, and for the life of me, I cannot remember tasting a donut since that tasted good. That's a shame. That's a shame. Sticks and Hammer was just talking today. Another locally owned business went out of business in where he used to live in Rutland, Vermont, and he was very upset. I could tell. It sucks. It sucks when that happens. For me, it was, and this is before the pandemic. It was Nardi's Deli. Nardi's Deli was fantastic. Oh my God. You could get a cheesesteak there. It was just enormous. It was so delicious. I used to go to Nardi's all the time. It used to be like my big giant reward. JEC, they bake the donuts on site at Tim's, but they prepare them off site and deliver them to the stores every day. Oh, okay. So that's why they taste. I thought they were okay. Like, I didn't, like Krispy Kremes are good. They're really good, but they make them there, and I love when we have one Krispy Kreme kind of near me, and they have that sign when they've got hot donuts. This is going to turn into the food stream in a minute. God, I'm making myself hungry just talking about donuts. These days I'm a little tight for cash. I can't go to all my favorite places, but man, when I was during the pandemic, I was kind of making decent money for me anyway, and I had a little bit of money to burn, and that's why I got fat again, because I was eating bagels every day from Sharky's Bagels, our local place, and I was eating at Dunkin' Donuts and other places. I don't eat the donuts at Dunkin' Donuts. Some of the breakfast sandwiches are all right. They actually have this sourdough bread. I don't know how, but it actually tastes pretty good. I mean, for sourdough out of Dunkin' Donuts, it's probably their best sandwich. Yeah, so, anywho, today I decided the theme would be the D23 Expo from Disney, so we could talk about all the new Marvel crap coming out. All right, so I'm going to put this right out there. I know both of you guys know, but for those of you who may be watching later, I can't stand Disney. I really have a bias against Disney. All right, let me put that right out on the table. Even before they went woke, I hated Disney. So I give you a little bit of my history. When I was a kid, Disney was associated with two things: really sappy movies for little kids, like Benji and Peter Pan and stuff like that. And then the other thing was documentaries about animals, like Mr. Squirrel is collecting nuts. Oh, here's Mrs. Squirrel with her young. And so I grew up in that environment. Ardent, D23, oh, this, I'm out. Swamp Fox, from Ardent. Yeah, it was the most banal movies you could possibly think of. They weren't bad movies compared by today's standards. They were pretty based. But, you know, as a kid, I was growing up, I wanted something cooler and edgier. So, and Disney was just like, that's for babies. Who watches Disney movies? And that was a real problem with the brand at the time. So if they were still releasing G-rated movies, that was part of their brand. So then they started these smaller companies, imprints, if you will, almost, where they made regular movies for grown-ups and just general audiences that weren't sappy kids movies. And they rebranded them. And they were pretty successful. It started with The Black Hole, I think, that movie. Art, Escape from Witch Mountain, The Cat from Outer Space, yeah, not the edges flicks to be sure. Not bad, I mean, for kids' movies. I'll tell you, The Strongest Man in the World and The Smartest Man in the World with Kurt Russell, those two movies, they're awesome. I love those movies. But, yeah, I mean, it was like, Dean Jones. But then, so they rebranded with these smaller companies, which were basically Disney, but nobody really knew they were Disney. And then they got into regular movies, and they kind of exploded. And then Disney sort of transitioned into a different brand, and they were in like financial trouble back then. And then they came out of it because of this this sort of rebranding that they did. And they were making regular movies, and then they were hits. And then at some point they entered the era where they were doing all their classic cartoons again. Arden says, I remember The Black Hole. That scene with the hot chip in the woman's eye still stand out in my mind for the effects. Yeah, I think that was like, the big deal was it was rated R, and like that was a big deal at the time, and it was made by Disney, but not Disney directly, like one of their little side companies. It's an awful movie, I think, but like everybody went to go see it because it was kind of Star Wars-y, and it was rated R, and people were talking about it. It was like a movie you talked about at that time. So when they rebranded in like the 90s and 2000s, they hit big with all their cartoons and then Pixar and all this stuff. And they came roaring back. I mean, just roaring back with a bunch of stuff. And then they transferred over into Marvel. And that was gigantic, huge. You know, they had some stinkers in between, but Marvel was, you know, I loved the Marvel movies. I thought they were great. Now, I wasn't really big on the cartoons. I like cartoons, but not those Disney, I'm not into Beauty and the Beast or Mermaid. I was too old for it then. But the Marvel movies I liked, the early ones. I think everybody did. I mean, they were huge hits. But now we're in, you know, end stage Marvel. And we're in the woke era. And I was talking about this in my video yesterday. They can't make the Marvel movies like they made the comics, and that's a real problem. When your stories hinge on certain characters being there, and then you take them out of it, it kind of doesn't work. So the Fantastic Four not being in the Marvel Universe is kind of a problem with certain stories. Now, it wasn't really a problem with the Avengers, obviously. They could focus on the Avengers. The Avengers was its own deal. Ardent, yeah, the first three phases were really good. Winter Soldier, especially. Yeah, that's a great one. I love Civil War. You know, it was all good. Even Endgame. I really like Endgame. I love the first two, Ant-Man and Wasp. I know I'm in the minority on that. But now we're in this woke time where they're just beating everybody over the head. And quite frankly, I think their talent is just awful in a lot of cases. They're pulling out all the stops to get, you know, name talent, but their writing talent is... I don't know where they get these people who think they're writing something good. This trailer, Werewolf by Night. Now, I can't play it because I always get flagged by YouTube, but I'll click through it without the sound. So they're doing an old school, like, old movie on TV thing. Now, I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this, but this is kind of how they would show old movies on TV, right? It would be like 11 o'clock on a Saturday, and the only thing on was the news, and then Saturday Night Live at 11:30, and all the other channels wouldn't play anything except old movies, like these old black and white movies, right? That was like in the 70s and 80s. So we're talking like 40, 50 years ago. This was relevant, that opening, and they put it on the trailer. A special presentation, and that's the kind of thing they would play, like 11:30 at night. CBS late movie, Frankenstein, and they'd play one of these black and white movies. Zachary Antle. Hi, Zach. Welcome. What's upsetting to me in modern writing is how stupid the writers and producers clearly think the audience are. I miss the more subtle writing, especially from the 70s movies discussing social issues. Well, the 70s, I mean, you're talking a real renaissance of American cinema. And you know, that's the way you refer to it because it was so good. I didn't realize how good it was until much later, and when I started looking at films in a serious way. I mean, the 70s films, I mean, you got The Godfather, you got Serpico, you know, The French Connection, like all these amazing films. They're just so good. And like you watch them, one of my favorite movies is Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. If you ever get a chance to see Marathon Man, watch it. Ardent, I barely remember Werewolf by Night comic. I do remember the old viral reruns though. Hubba hubba. Yeah, Werewolf by Night was kind of a thing for 10 minutes in Marvel. It was just like, oh, let's capitalize. Their Dracula comic was a hit, so they tried to do this, which wasn't a hit, but it was there. Zach, what happened to subtext? It's gone. I mean, these people aren't smart enough. I don't even think they know what it is, Zach. I really don't. You know, I've had a little dealings with some of these guys over the years, and subtext, I mean, that's not even in the conversation. I mean, the conversation is always about money and who's going to be in it, and you know who's going to, you know, it's a constant. Most of the discussions I have been in have been all about who's going to pay for things, kind of, but like never talking directly about it, and never anybody stepping up to the plate and saying, well, you know, I'm going to fund this thing, or I'm going to find the money. Like everybody's trying to rely on everybody else to do things. That's the way Hollywood is. It's this weird... Like, I met with this producer one time. I think it was over the phone. Yeah, I did meet him in person, but I think this was over the phone. And, like, this guy had produced television. He had worked on movies. Like, he seemed like a real guy to me. And we're talking about, you know, screenplays, and I'm trying to sell him on some stuff, and it's like, I could tell about halfway through the conversation, he was just fishing around to see if I had any contacts, if I could get something greenlit for him. Like, he really wasn't interested in me except to sort of pick my brain to see if I had any juice, kind of thing. Juice, power or whatever. JEC, I think it's a mistake to make this thing black and white. A Marvel horror movie is a cool idea, but making it black and white does nothing to help it. I think this whole milieu is a mistake for them, because who the hell, like, it's 50 years ago for this, like, TV thing, this reference, and then it's like 80 years for black and white movies. Yeah, I think it's a huge mistake. Who the hell is this movie for? The people who are already dead? I mean, look, I love black and white Universal horror movies, but I'm 56, and then I saw them when they were old, like 40 years ago, back in the 80s. I used to watch them on TV. A current audience, these people don't know what a woman is. You're trying to introduce them to black and white movies, they're going to be like, well, where's the color? What happened? What happened? I don't think these people watch black and white movies. Like, back in when I was a teenager, yeah, we watched black and white stuff all the time. People still had black and white TV sets. But now, nobody has a black and white TV set anymore. Nobody knows these movies. Except film nuts. Guess who made these movies? Ardent. American Werewolf in London was amazing in its time. Yeah, that was good. Zach. One of my favorite 70s movies is Clute. I love that. Clute. Because how it talks about the main character being a sex worker, which is just lets it exist and doesn't offer any commentary for or against that life. Yeah. Ardent. Subtext. Nah, that's gone. It's too much hope for show. Don't tell, let alone subtext. Yeah, they're telling people what the hell's happening in the damn movie. Subtext, that's like way beyond them. Ardent. When I was a kid, Star Trek was black and white because of my TV. Yes. You remember. Yeah, I mean, it's like we had a black and white TV in the house. Like, our old TV was a black and white TV. And I would go watch the Universal Monster movies on it because they were already in black and white anyway, so what difference did it make? But, yeah, I don't get this at all. This isn't even correct. This is supposed to be Frankenstein, but it's like the fortune teller in the machine Frankenstein? Like, what the hell is that? Is he supposed to be a real Frankenstein, or is this a movie within a movie kind of thing? I don't even know what they're trying to do here. So, I don't know what they're trying to do. I really don't know who this is for. I mean, Disney just doesn't know what it's doing anymore. They are so off the rails. Ardent, LOL. Zach, a lot of writing in mainstream films now feels like the kind of real blatant moralizing you get in a 40s and 50s movie. Even that was better, I would say, but it's like, when I was in college, and I would go to script writing classes or story writing classes or whatever, sometimes we would have to read each other's stories. In class aloud. And what these movies sound like are the worst college students writing stories. It sounds like, I had a kid in my class who he wrote a pitch for a hockey player movie and the whole movie is just him getting everything in life. There's like not one conflict in the thing. And he spent 20 minutes pitching it like it was the greatest thing in the world, and we all went, what happens? Nothing happens in this movie. Yeah, no, he wins the Stanley Cup, everything's great. Yeah, but nothing happens. Nothing happens in the movie. Do you not understand how the movie works? That's what everything sounds like. Like you hire people with absolutely no sense of how movies or stories work, and then they write garbage, and then you just produce it. That's what it feels like, everything coming out of Hollywood these days. Zach again. And the worst part is, back then and now, they didn't do it because they had any real conviction behind saying those things. They just said it to make it marketable. I think part of it too is they do this to get it greenlit, right? So you have, the problem is the moralizing is coming from the top now. It's coming from the corporate structure. And the corporate structure used to be, make us money. And there are people who raged against that. I was one of those young people who raged against that. All you care about is money. And there is something to be said by going too far in that direction. And some people did. But at least it was a direction you could understand. Because if you could just come up with a concept and an audience and a thing that would make money, then you could make your movie. If you could sell them on an audience and sell them on the idea, the movie would get made. And that at least had an audience. Now it's about moralizing. And these companies aren't moral. And the people in them aren't moral. I've met them. They're horrible. Many of them. I haven't met them all. They're crazy, some of them. They're out of their minds. They're often from very rich families because that's how they got in. They got in like right out of college, high up in the organization already. They were right in the management. They're already rich, and they don't know what working is. They don't have a clue. Writing a screenplay? Oh, write me a screenplay. Can you get it done in a week? Oh, how good do you think it'll be in a week? I mean, it'll be done. I don't think it'll be very good. Zach, I mean, I know you got to make money, but trend chasing I see out of Hollywood, especially these days, is so blatant. It's just gross to me. Yeah, trend chasing is the worst. It's the absolute worst, and it doesn't work. I had a client, and I told him. And I can't really tell you too much about it because some contractual things. But I'll say he was chasing a trend, and I said, if you chase this trend, you'll regret it. You'll ruin the whole movie, and even if you get a greenlit, it'll be, you're too late for the trend once you know about it. So everybody writing like woke screenplays now, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. That's done. Because Hollywood's always like, downstream. They can get anybody to write a woke screenplay. All the guys that got working for them are writing woke. They need the next thing. The next thing that's going to make them money was the normal pattern. But when you have these moralizers, they're distorting the marketplace. JC, I worked with a writer once. I illustrated the first chapter, and then he showed me a script for the rest of the book. And within 50 pages, he dropped the villain, an entire concept, within the 50 pages. Well, that doesn't sound good. And he didn't understand why that wasn't a good idea. JEC. Yeah, that's not good at all. I mean, there's a reason the 3-act structure works. And it works really well. I use it in my novels, too. And you don't have to be totally chained to exactly that, but it's a good structure to work around. So you can add things to it. It's like a house. I always like use the metaphor of a house. The 3-act structure is your bones. It's the structure of the house and its sound. So you build the 3-act structure, and then the house you build around it could look different however you want. And you can paint it any color you want. Doesn't matter. The house isn't going to fall down. But the moment you say, oh, I'm not going to do a 3-act structure, the house collapses. Doesn't matter how nice it looked on the outside. Zach, speaking of 70s movie, I love how experimental the filmmaking got when still telling a satisfying story. Artsy movies these days are just artsy for art's sake, and it doesn't tell a good story. Yes. Yeah, that is... I think it's the end result of just art. They're just pushing the limits. And they just go down this rabbit hole of pushing the limits for the sake of doing that. Right? So this is weird, so I'll be weirder. This is an outrage and flies in the face of tradition, so I'll do more of that. And then you get these movies that are just like nothing but outrage, nothing but weirdness. And then, the story goes nowhere, really. You have a lot of guys in Hollywood, and this is a problem in comics too. Um, in comics, it's like you have a great illustrator, a guy who like everybody loves. And when he draws something, everybody buys it. And then he decides to do his, he's not really a writer, and he does a story and it looks great, and you buy it, and then you read it and go, well, this kind of went nowhere. It's kind of that way in Hollywood sometimes too with directors. I think Zack Snyder's one of those guys. To some extent, Michael Bay is, but I think Zack Snyder is a huge example of that. Like, Zack Snyder's visuals are great. There's no arguing that. They look amazing. I couldn't do that. But his story, his sense of story, I think, I don't know if that guy's read a whole book in his life. I mean, they just don't go anywhere 9 times out of 10. I mean, Sucker Punch is like, I don't even know what that is. It's a mess, in my view. And like all his movies have been that way, but they look amazing. And so because of that, I think customers buy the ticket or buy the comic, and by that time you have their money, so who cares? Who cares if they're unsatisfied? Ardent, yeah, fundamentally filmmaking is storytelling. It is. Everything's story. All right, so then Secret Invasion, and I talked about this yesterday, and this is the biggest one out of all of them. You got Samuel L. Jackson here coming back as Nick Fury, and Ardent, Sucker Punch was about the visuals, disjointed like a fever dream. Yeah, and the excuse is, well, she's in an insane asylum. That's not an excuse. That you can say like, well, that's the character's crazy. That's a crutch. That's a crutch filmmakers and writers have used for years. Oh, the character's crazy. That's why it's so crazy and disjointed. Yeah, but you still got to entertain me. You still got to tell me a coherent narrative. JC, I always say stories are like songs. There's a structure. Human brain likes patterns. You can have the infinite variation of the pattern, but you need the structure to build the story upon. Yes, I would agree with that analogy. Zach, I love Scorsese's movies because he tells compelling narratives and is still able to get away with his real theatrical lighting and abstract, jagged editing style. Sure, as long as you're there for the ride, as long as you got a story, all the cool visuals, you can go nuts with it. Who cares? As long as at the end of this thing, I'm like, wow. The end of Goodfellas, I mean, you're like, whoa, what a ride. It's like, but the structure, the structure is important. That's what screenwriters do. And that's why Hollywood's in such trouble, because for years, screenwriters? We don't need screenwriters. I mean, right around, I think this was in The Player, and then this was based on a true story. There was a movie producer who used to pick up newspaper clippings and say, let's do a movie based on this. And, Marathon Man is actually one of those movies, but William Goldman, the writer, picked up a newspaper and read an article and then wrote a movie sort of based on it. Not some studio exec said, oh, this will be a movie. Like in The Player, I think the idea was, they're going to try to eliminate writers. And there's this idea that AIs are going to write screenplays. Good luck with that. These movies are so crap. I think they're doing it now. Ardent. Honestly, as much as I love Dr. Doom, the last thing I want is a current Disney touching him. The woke crowd couldn't hope to make him sympathetic or complex at all. Yeah, and it's a shame because Jack Kirby was such a genius. I read this story, and I hope it's true. I want to believe it's true. Kirby was at a comic book convention, and a fan asked him, will you please draw Dr. Doom without his mask? And this is back when I don't think they had ever shown Doom without his mask. And he drew Victor Von Doom's face with a tiny scar. And it was so brilliant to me because you think about it like, why is Doctor Doom wearing the mask? Up until that point, you hadn't really seen his face post-mask. It's because he keeps saying, I'm hideously scarred. You know, he's the man in the iron mask. I'm hideously scarred. You cannot look at me. Don't look upon me. And it's just that tiny little mark on his face. And it shows you the depth of his character. He's so vain. He's so vain that that little mark ruined a masterpiece for him. And that's why he wears the mask now. Instead, you know, you got Marvel guys. I think they did this in the 90s where it was like, I think they retold Doom's origin and he puts on the mask while the metal's hot and it melts his face. Like, that wasn't Doom, in my view. Zach, for me, the most powerful movie I've ever seen is The Heraldry by Ari Aster. And I've never cried that much while watching a movie. And it's still really arty and odd how it's shot. Still love it. Heraldry. Am I saying that right? No, it's Hereditary. No, Hereditary. I'm reading it wrong. Hereditary. I don't think I've seen that movie. Or even heard of it. I'll have to look that up. Ardent. Yeah, there was a retcon in the 90s. Yeah, I didn't like that. Although, Doom 2099 kind of had potential, but I think they kind of squandered it. But you look at this Secret Invasion, and this is a TV show, it's not a movie. It's going to be in 2023. They're finally bringing back Nick Fury. And like I said in my evaluation of this, to me, it doesn't really work because Nick Fury in the comics is a different character. He had a huge background. He was brought in to the Marvel Universe and kind of incorporated into the superhero realm. Whereas this, he started out that way. And like the secret agent past doesn't really jibe with him. I don't think he was a secret agent. In the MCU, I'm a little unclear to what his real origins are now because of Captain Marvel, right? Like he was a cop in Captain Marvel when he was younger. And it was like, oh, okay. Like to me, Nick Fury, when he was young, should have been like James Bond. That's the way he was in the comic. And they kind of made him a, quote, normal guy getting involved with superheroes in the 90s. And it kind of undercut his character on top of the eye thing, which just, Ardent, 2099 is my favorite depiction of Doom. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. It kind of could have gone somewhere. I didn't read a lot of the issues. I read one, and I thought, oh, that's... They're trying to do something neat with him, but I couldn't really get into it because the whole 2099 thing, I was so mad about Ravage 2099 infuriated me because he was a ripoff of Grimjack, who I was a huge fan of Grimjack. I feel he was a ripoff of Grimjack. Zach, the only major franchises I still respect is the Bond movies. And I love the risks the producers take, like who'd expect the director of American Beauty to make an action movie as great as Skyfall. I have to disagree with you there, Zach. I think Skyfall was a huge missed opportunity. Huge. You had Bond going back, and I saw Skyfall, and I regret it. You had Bond going back to where he was from, JC, Tim Truman, exactly. You have Bond going back to his family's estate, and he meets that Scottish guy, whoever he is, and like, there's no, like, this was an opportunity for me, and I said this at the time, to show like how Bond got some of his great attributes, right? So this Scottish gardener, who probably should have been played by Sean Connery. I think he was still alive, although I think he was in rough shape by then. Could have been the guy who showed Bond how to be cool, or showed him how to be a man, right? He could have been the hard drinking, hard smoking guy that Bond actually hung around with while his rich family went out and went and did places. Went and visited places, excuse me. And they kind of missed that opportunity. And then it just felt like so nothing that he goes to his ancestral home. Compared to him being killed at the end of whatever that movie was. Skyfall was my favorite of the Daniel Craig movies, says JEC. Wasn't big on Daniel Craig movies. I think Casino Royale's the best one. That to me is the only watchable one. After I watched Skyfall, I'm like, phew. And Quantum of Solace, don't get me started. Do not get me started on that movie. I hate that movie. It's the worst James Bond movie ever made. Besides the one where they kill him, which I think is probably up there too. Ardent, Bond is supposed to be a secret identity, though. Giving him a home felt like canon breaking to me. It could have worked. It could have worked. But it's also this idea where, and this is a problem in comics too, where they keep making these personal stories about the characters. These iconic characters like Batman, Superman, whatever. We're going to make these personal stories about them. Part of the problem is the characters have been around so long, and that canon is hard to do unless you're really steeped in the mythos, and it should be steeped in the mythos. It's just not worth doing to just make it a little personal. There are other ways to make it more personal to a character. For Bond, you make it personal by setting up a love interest that makes sense. Or you add some. I mean, you have Felix, like, Felix. People going after Felix. That can be personal. But, I mean, I'm so done with that. They've done the personal. Now this time it's personal things for so long with these iconic characters. I'm just sick of it. Like, when James Bond, I want to see the basics. I want to see him drink and smoke and bang chicks and shoot guys. Like, that's all I want to see in the next Bond movie. That's it. In a car chase. I don't want to see anything else. I don't care about where he grew up. I don't care how he got trained. I don't care about M or Q. Q gets a scene. Just do the basics. Do some cool stuff and have it set in a real dynamic that makes sense. Not a generic terrorist. I hate the generic terrorist. I also hate the media mogul villain now, which is really big. They can't seem to make it work. If you can't tie it into reality, it's BS. As much as the Timothy Dalton movies weren't so great, at least they tried to tie it into real world reality. I say go back to the Cold War. Go back to the Cold War and leave them there. Zach, Quantum was directed by the guy who did Finding Neverland and World War Z, so yeah, kind of a weird choice there. It's the worst movie. It's the worst Bond movie ever. I'm really trying hard not to go on my Quantum of Solace rant because I was so infuriated at the time. I wrote a rant because I wasn't doing videos then on my Superfat site, and I was just when he took that doorknob and snapped it off, I was just like, what the hell is that? What, has he got superpowers now? Who does that? Who could do that? JC, I've not been able to sit through all of Casino Royale. Really? I don't get what other people see in it. Well, for one thing, it's written by Ian Fleming, and so I mean, it's real canon. I think the training stuff early on is not, so maybe that's where you fall out of it, but I thought it was fine. But Ardent, one-liners. One-liners, yeah, one-liners, yes, we need, I was trying to figure out what you meant by that, but yeah, now I get it. One-liners from Bond. He pushes some guy off a cliff. Oh, where's so-and-so? I dropped him off. Stuff like that. It was fun. Yeah, they're incapable of doing that now. Everything's so serious in a Bond movie. Everything's so serious in everything. It's like, it suffers from the try too hard, JC, I think they kept Bond's backstory vague enough. You could project whatever you wanted onto it. Though it was cool, they reminded everyone the character was supposed to be Scottish. Yeah. Well, and again, this is why I say go back to it. Go back to the Cold War. Bond's a a guy who comes out of World War II, and he's in his early 40s, and he's already a suave, debonair guy. He's been doing this a while. He knows what he's doing, and he just runs amok and destroys the Soviets, or Spectre. Zach. Oh, and The World Is Not Enough was directed by the dude, you know your directors, who did Gorillas in the Mist, Coal Miner's Daughter, and Nell. Yeah, it was okay. I mean, compared to current Bond, I mean, pretty decent, but I don't know. For me, it's Sean Connery. Sean Connery all the way, and Roger Moore in Live and Let Die. I mean, I know, I'm old school, I'm older. It just can't beat it. I mean, at Pierce Bronson, I was out at Pierce Bronson, really. I didn't see most of the Pierce Bronson movies. I think I saw the first one, and I was just like, again, it's the setting. The villains aren't there. You know, in the Cold War, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Spy stuff makes sense. In the current paradigm, you'd have to do something that would be so politically poisonous to the Hollywood types, they'd never do it. Okay? They'd never do it. JC, I don't think Ian Fleming had him doing parkour in the book. Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, the parkour stuff was stupid. I hated that. The moment I saw the parkour stuff in Casino Royale, I almost was like, am I going to watch the rest of this? But then it got better for me. Ardent, Lachif, I don't know how to pronounce it. And Casino Royale is my favorite Mads Mikkelsen character, except Odin in Valhalla Rising. Yeah, Mads is good. He's really good. I mean, it's just known to dying it. He did a movie, based on a webcomic that was pretty good. I forget what it was called, but it's pretty good. It was on Netflix. Ardent, Connery is a great Bond. A lot of Bronson stuff had a close feel to the OG stuff. Shifted to China. Smart. Yeah. I mean, China is a good, foil for Bond. I could see that. It should all be China now. Maybe you could throw in the Russians as sort of guys you don't know where they land now. But China, yeah. China has the resources. But they're not going to do that. I mean, maybe now they will because finally Hollywood's sort of like, oh, we've been screwed by China. I was wondering who was bending us over a table and railing us senseless. Oh, it was China all this time, Disney. It was China. Yeah, so now that finally Top Gun gave the middle finger to China, now maybe we could have Bond go up against the Chinese, which would be great, right? It would be great. You could have Bond sneaking into China doing stuff. I bet they won't do what they did in, what's the movie where they make them Japanese? The Sean Connery one. It's so funny. Oh, God. You Only Live Twice? I think it's that one. So, it would be hilarious if they put Bond in the makeup, made him Chinese to get him in China. So he can infiltrate something in China. It'd be amazing. They'll never do that now. They will absolutely never do it, but that's what they should be doing. And then letting people just go, oh my God, I don't believe this. They made I don't know, be Daniel Craig. I guess it'll be somebody else now. They made so-and-so, they made him up as a Chinese man to infiltrate. That's what a spy does, you spurgs. The first two Bronson movies were decent, but after that, his movies became unwatchable. Yeah, I really didn't appreciate Halle Berry being sort of wedged in there. You Only Live Twice is my favorite Bond movie. Austin Powers is basically a remake of it, yeah. Zach, that's JEC. Zach, I'm still amazed a movie like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo got made. I'm still mad at Fincher, Craig, and Mara got to make the other two books as movies. Well, the original one's great. And even the remake in English is good. So, that's a dark movie. That's a dark-ass movie. Surprised they didn't make that. Did they try to do a TV show with that yet? I'm surprised they haven't done a TV show. Seems like a easy fit. Ardent, LOL, China. JC, you only live twice. They made him Japanese. Yeah, that's what I thought. And he has a great line in that too. Like they're going into the spa. The Japanese girls are like, he's having a conversation with the guy who's helping him with his assignment, and they're getting massaged by these beautiful Japanese girls, and Bond's like, I think I may retire here. It's the best. It's the absolute best. JC, he didn't even look Japanese. I know. They just put a different wig on him, and he squinted. And I think they did do a thing in the movie where they say they operate on him, or they do something to his eyelids or something, and then the ninjas come in and kill his wife. Ardent, Henry Cavill for Bond, please. Hugh Jackman could have done it instead of Wolverine. Yeah, I could see it. Sure. I mean, he's English. But, I don't think they're going to do it because there's too much of an association with Superman with him. And, in a few more years, I mean, I think they'll go with somebody new. But he would be good. I mean, he looks the role. And definitely they keep talking about Henry Cavill to play a live-action Archer because he looks very similar to Archer. But that wouldn't work unless John Benjamin dubbed in all his lines. Zach, I'm autistic dude who wants to write and direct someday, of course. I'm filmmaking nerd, but I'm also super frustrated with Hollywood business practice. Well, there's a big upside, Zach, and that is everything's decentralized now thanks to the internet. So the only thing stopping you is just make the damn movie. So save up your money, pool your resources, and just do it. Even if you only shoot a couple of minutes every weekend or something, over the course of 2 years, you'll finally get a movie made. The thing I always advise for new film people is to shoot within your means. So you write something that you can shoot. A monster movie or whatever, something you could shoot and make it look good. Don't try to shoot James Bond, obviously, because you can't compete with James Bond. It's too, they spend a lot of money on that. And there's big stunts or whatever. But you could shoot a horror movie in your backyard, in your house, and, you could shoot a drama. There's lots of things you can shoot, depending on where you live. You can shoot, mafia movies are easy to shoot if you have the right actors for it. Because, again, you don't need a tremendous amount of sets. You just need houses and whatnot. It kind of depends on where you live. Mafia movie, it's a little tougher if you live out in the sticks, but just shoot it. And then once you have a product, then you have to start learning how to market it and sell it. But these ways, there are all sorts of ways. I mean, my friend did a movie, and he was in it, and then he didn't make it. He was in it. He was the lead. And then I think he bought it and had it repackaged and re-edited or something. And then he put it on Amazon. And now he's going to kill me because I can't think of the name now. Oh, God. He's going to be furious if he sees this stream, and I can't remember the name. Oh, God. I can't think of the name. Something Blue. It was a cop movie where he plays a crooked cop. Anyhow, Zach, it honestly seems easier to advance in Jake SE companies with their bizarre hierarchies. Well, I mean, yeah, like you got to look at getting a job, if you're creative, as a means to an end. The means is money. The end is to get your own work out there. So you use, working for a company, however you get your money and live, and then you use that money on the side to do your work. So, the big problem with making a movie is there's so many people in it, involved in it. It was so nerve-wracking. This is why I'm writing books now. Because I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody. I need a cover artist, and that's it. You know, when I would shoot these things, like I shot this TV series for, dating myself here, MySpace, called Zombie Country, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. A friend of mine in an improv group wanted to shoot something with zombies, and we decided to do it, and then he kind of checked out, and then he you know, I wrote the roles for him and me to play two brothers in the middle of nowhere during the zombie apocalypse, and I had so many episodes for it, and it kills me to this day that didn't take off, and that he just sort of bailed on the whole thing. I mean, I've got footage galore of episodes we haven't finished editing, and it's like, it's such a heartbreak. And so it's part of the reason why I write books now, so I don't need anybody else's help, and I can finish the damn story, and I don't have to worry about somebody checking out on me and ruining the whole damn thing. But it's about money, so, you know, and it's about pre-production. So if you have very little money and you do the pre-production, even if you have people bail on you, you should be ready to get it all going, right? So work on your pre-production, work on accumulating your resources, and be super tight with them. It's all about management, resource management in movies. I mean, to make them. JEC, they showed them grafting extra skin to his eyelids, but that did nothing. Yeah, I know, right? Because I assume it was just makeup, and it looked terrible at the time. But now they could do CGI. It would be amazing, right? Can you imagine, like, Daniel Craig CGI'd as a Chinese guy? It would be so funny. And then, like, you know, at some point when they need to take the disguise off him, he just goes, you know, he pulls the big giant mask off. Zach, I mean Japanese companies. Oh, okay. Oh, good luck advancing in Japanese companies. That's tough. That's tough because they're very, I've heard, you know, especially in anime and manga, like, unless you're Japanese, it's really tough to advance, if at all. Ardent, live action Archer. Oh, yes. Oh, please. Yes, yes, yes. I don't think you're going to see it, but it's funny to think about it. I mean, the cartoon's great. I'm way behind, though. Zach. Oh, I'm fully on board with the smartphone-based filmmaking sphere of the internet, but the app everyone uses, Filmic Pro, is thinking of going to weekly subscription model. There's always something. You don't even need... I mean, all you need is the lens. That's it. You just need a good lens. And there was a guy who I know crowdfunded a lens you can put on your iPhone. It'll look, you know, that's the guy who shot Tangerine shot it on his phone. I think he used that lens. And you just need any editing software. I mean, every software has its free equivalent somewhere. You know, for all my comics now, I use GIMP. I used to use Photoshop. I used to have Photoshop all the time, and it got so expensive. I eventually heard about GIMP, and now I use that all the time, and it's great. It works amazingly. It's just like Photoshop, except the controls are all slightly different, but it has everything you could do in Photoshop, and it's great. So there are editing platforms. You could totally do it. So just keep looking around. I mean, you may have to bail on, what is it called? Filmic Pro? Yeah, I haven't heard of it. They're all going to a subscription model because that's the corporate structure now. I mean, Microsoft Word's going to a subscription model because they want you to forever pay them money because it's the only way they can make money now because people just pirate things. It's too easy. Ardent did a quick search. Cop in blue jeans, pale blue balloons might not be worth a try. That wasn't the name. No, none of those are the names. All right, I gotta look it up now. Let me go to IMDb. I gotta find it. I gotta type in my friend's name. He's an actor named Corey Sosner. Gotham Blue, that's it. I knew it. So, I'll show it to you. See, he redid this cool cover with his face on it. An off-duty cop finds a duffel bag full of cash and he turns it into the police and soon finds himself facing off against enemies on both sides of the law. So it's on Amazon if you want to check it out. Um, yeah. So there's a way to do it. I mean, you get your movie. It's going to be like just what I'm doing with my books. You put the movie together, and then you post it on Amazon, and then you see if you could sell it. I think they do that now. I'm pretty sure. Ardent. A bunch of my friends have been bullying me into using GIMP for my thumbnails. It's great. It's a pain in the neck to... If you use Photoshop, all the controls are different because I guess that's a copyright thing. But it is great. Works wonderfully. And it's free. Zach. Sean Baker directed Tangerine. Sean Baker. Oh, I'm thinking of Sean Bean. Okay. Sean Baker directed Tangerine. That's where I got the idea of going with phones for filmmaking, but he also used Filmic Pro to shoot that movie, and it really put it on the map. It's sad AF. Well, I mean, there'll always be another software, so don't get blackpilled about it. Ardent, nice. JC, put Gotham in the title so people will think it's Batman retired, LOL. No, it's not. It had nothing to do with Batman. It's Gotham like New York, has Gotham. I mean, there is a Gotham. Ardent. Oh, you're talking to Zach. Okay. Jeez. This hour went fast. We gotta get through some of this. All right. So, yeah. So the Secret Invasion thing. Watch my evaluation of it. I don't think it can really work. It's just, I think Samuel L. Jackson's too old. It's supposed to be an action thing, and I think he doesn't. The movie Nick Fury character doesn't have the background that the comic book one did, and that's a problem. And it just, I don't know. The Skrulls were undermined by Captain Marvel too. They were portrayed as the victims. They were portrayed as, they were just immigrants coming here. For some reason, they did that take in Captain Marvel, and now they're going to flip on that and make them evil, I guess. I don't know. Ardent. Oh, I finally watched the last of the Terminal List last night. Exceptionally good. We'll check out your video later. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think the beginning's stronger than the end, but overall, I mean, compared to what's coming out, solid miniseries. Brutal at parts. Oof-ah. Is Terminal List brutal in one particular episode? Oh, it's gross. But yeah, it's Terminal List, definitely one to check out. Isn't it so weird that it's at Amazon and the same company did Rings of Power? It's so weird, right? It's like you're sitting in a meeting. Oh, we got this Terminal List. Oh yeah, I saw the first episode. It's pretty good. All right, and what else we got? Oh, we got this Rings of Power. Oh, let me see that. What the F is this? Like, who in Amazon is greenlighting these things? I guess it's Jeff Bezos saying, oh yeah. I don't know. So Don Cheadle will return as the other Rhodey, not the original one, for Armor Wars. I don't know. Yeah. This was barely a thing at Marvel. Now you're going to make it a movie. Okay. Razor Fist had a tweet with this link in it. This is on the Marvel.com site, and the only commentary was scrape. And they're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. I mean, if this was a line of comics coming out, you'd be like, oh, this is uninspired. Where are all the cool characters? And this is the problem. Like, if you were doing Armor Wars in the comics, as they did, you could have Tony Stark come in at some point. You could have Spider-Man show up, or the Hulk, or whoever. They're not going to do that in these movies. They're separate entities unto themselves, and they're trying to make money off of them. They're just not. It's just not as cool. Sorry, ain't gonna work. They don't understand comics. Same thing with Nick Fury. Secret Invasion, the Skrulls. I think the Fantastic Four. I believe they were all tied up into that. They're not even established yet. Werewolf by Night. I don't know who's gonna appear in that. Probably nobody. Here's the Fantastic Four. It's like, when's this coming out? Like 2025, 2026? I mean, they've screwed the pooch so many times on this. I don't see how they can make it. Ardent. Yeah. But they also did Reacher. Yeah, Reacher was great. Reacher's really good. I really love Reacher, the Amazon one. Ardent, how in the name of holy heck are they going to make Armor Wars without Iron Man? That's weird. Well, he wasn't. Was he the main character in the comic? Because that was at a time when Tony Stark was having problems, and I think Rhodey was Iron Man. But yeah, it's like JC, LOL. They're actually trying to make War Machine a thing. Yeah, it never worked in the comic, right? Like, he was a fine side character. He was a fine, like, also ran in the Avengers. Oh, we can't get Iron Man. Let's throw a War Machine. Sure. But you're going to make him his own thing? Okay, you could try for a while. You know, you might make some money, but it's not going to be a big thing. People want to see Iron Man, and then you killed Iron Man. So, dumb. I don't know why they killed Iron Man. Another dumb move, but the one character they could have kept alive forever, right? Robert Downey Jr. had to back the money truck to his house, but his character runs around. It's not him. It's a CGI, right? You can do CGI all day long with him doing stunts and flips and fighting guys. Great. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't actually have to break a sweat. He just has to go into the studio and go and do the voiceover. Oof. I'll get you. But instead, and he's the greatest actor ever, just about. I don't know why you'd get rid of him. Yeah, he overshadows everybody. Yeah, no kidding. He's a genius. He's a freaking genius actor. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that they're making JC, that they're making a War Machine a thing. It's just ridiculous. Ardent, I'm willing to bet inside 2 or 3 years they'll be begging Sony to let them make a Spider-Verse live action. Probably. It would probably make money. Ardent, I really hope they bring Mickey Rourke back to play the Titanium Man, though. Titanium Man? Do you mean Whiplash? He was Whiplash. Do you mean Guy Pearce as was he? Who you're talking about? Titanium Man? Is Whiplash the Titanium Man? Am I confusing the characters? JC, they killed Iron Man because they needed to pay Robert Downey Jr. like $50 million a movie. Yeah, but they blow that amount. Oh, that reminds me why I think of it. Speaking of blowing money, did I save this link? I hope I did. Hold on. Oh, no, I didn't. Somewhere online is supposedly a leaked Batgirl trailer. And let me tell you, it looks as awful as you imagine if that's the real trailer. Whew. So Google that sometime. For a laugh. And yes, you do see Batgirl lecture Batman. I don't know if it's real, though. I think that's why I didn't pull up the link. But man, it looked real enough. No, I think they could do it. Sure, pay Robert Downey Jr. $50 million. The movie will make $1 billion, dude. That's fine. I'm fine with it. Fire everybody else. Just make it all about Robert Downey Jr. I'll watch that. I'll pay that. I'll pay $14 to go see Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man again. I will. If it ain't woke. You hear it's woke, well then go suck it, Disney. Captain America New World Order. Do they understand what this phrase means? Zach, I also noticed it seems like the reason so many actors are jumping ship for streaming series is so they can actually act and just appear in the tentpole movies to get paid. Yeah, it's part of it's a lot of different things. I think it's partly because streaming is the thing and the studios have more control over it. I personally, and I wrote about this in Hollywoke, another novel, I think they're lying about the numbers. Because I don't think there's a way to check them, and if there is, I think it'd be an easy fix to screw with the numbers. So they kind of can't screw with the numbers as much with theaters because theaters to some extent are independent of the studio system. Now they're not totally independent, but they're independent enough that they don't have control over that, but Disney certainly has control of its streaming service, right? I mean, you imagine they do. That Paramount has control of that. So, are these things selling? Are there millions of people watching them? Do we really know? I don't know. I don't know if we do. So I am color me suspicious about their numbers. But when you look at Amazon, Rings of Power, maybe we kind of know, or maybe they're just padding them. Maybe they're trying to make it realistic so you won't go, oh, that's obviously BS. I mean, if they said 50 million people watch the Rings of Power, you probably wouldn't believe it, right? So, but, I mean, Captain America New World Order, I mean, it just sounds like a title that, oh, Captain America and Klaus Schwab team up to bring you the New World Order. Like, that's what it kind of sounds like to me. But we'll see. I don't know. I liked Anthony Mackie in a lot of things. But the lecturing Captain America clips that I saw makes me not want to see a movie like this. I don't want to see Anthony Mackie say, you have to do better, Senator. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, God, no. Terrible line, Captain America. Ardent, Guy Pearce. Yes, he played the Mandarin badly. Yeah, but, like, his superpower gave him, like, other thinking. I'm thinking of the movie Retcom where Mickey Rourke's character builds his own suit of armor, and he just calls it the Titanium Man and doesn't have to be the same character. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I guess. I don't know. I mean, Whiplash would be cool to bring him back and, you know, give him a cool suit of armor. JC, the title alone is a hard no for me. Yeah, right? I mean, why would you call it that? I mean, to me, if you're going to make it, I don't want to see the Falcon cosplay as Captain America. Yeah. Ardent, Captain America as a pro wrestler? I would like to see, like, a title for a Captain America movie would be Captain America, Make America Great Again. Like, that would be, like, a positive thing. Like, obviously they're not going to do that, but Captain America, America Returns, America First. Again, it's too political. They wouldn't do that. But, like, something like that. Like, something positive for America. New World Order? No thanks. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And this is another movie. I don't know why they're doing this. Thunderbolts? It doesn't make any sense that they're doing this. Because the whole reason for the popularity of Thunderbolts was the secret Marvel comic thing that surprised everybody in comics for once. I mean, it was amazing they pulled it off. And it was a huge hit for a short time, and then it kind of like fell into the same pattern every comic book team thing, happened. Zach, God, I hate that writing. I have a script where the protags are 3 gay men and a woman who runs a game studio. No commentary about them being any of those things at all. They just are what they are. Yeah. JC, Captain America, Battle for Freedom. Yes, that's a good title. I'd see that. Battle for Freedom. Captain America. JC again. Captain America, Freedom Warrior. Captain America, to save Washington, D.C. Captain America, saving America. Something like that. Yeah, and so Thunderbolts was this thing that I think could only work in comics. They haven't established the characters, half the characters that were even in Thunderbolts, I think, because they were all villains initially, and that was the big surprise. Ardent, Captain America, Tree of Liberty. Yes, I'd be down for that, but I think the studio would be like, oh, God, no. Actually, all those titles we just mentioned probably would be a no from Hollywood, because they hate America, basically. But Thunderbolts, like, you just couldn't do it. You'd have to use all the villains from the MCU, right? The Red Skull is dead. He wasn't in it. I think it was Baron Zemo was like one of the guys, wasn't he? Zach, speaking of I think I messaged you on Facebook before. If you'd be interested in reading, I'd love some feedback. Sure. I don't do it for free, Zach. Talk to me on Facebook again, and we'll chat if you got a little money. You gotta always charge, Zach. You gotta always charge. So, Thunderbolts. Yeah, the characters just. I mean, it was a perfect timing. It was Busiek, I think, created Thunderbolts, right? It was his project. Like Baron Zemo, everybody had kind of forgotten about. I think it was him or the other guy from Hydra, whoever his name is, and a couple others. And then the big reveal was, yeah, they're villains. They're villains who pretend to be heroes, and then I forget what the rest of the story was, but it was a huge hit at Marvel. But I don't think it could work in the movie. So you'd need like the current Marvel villains. They're all dead. JC, get that money, Tony. Hey, look, I'm busy. I need money. Never do anything for free. You just can't. Not in this business. And I'm not like gonna charge an arm and a leg, Zach. But I understand everybody's poor. But you just have to understand. You have to get into this mindset too. It's all about money. When you talk to actors and you try to get them to be in your movie or whatever. A lot of times actors will work for exposure, but that's something real for them because actors need tons and tons and tons of exposure. But you do offer them something. You offer them food. You offer them a little bit of money, gas. You try to do what you can. But at the end of the day, it's about money. And when somebody's talking to you about a project and they don't talk about the money up front, that's a huge red flag. It's a huge red flag. It's not for real, or they're trying to just get free stuff from you. So you always got to be like, well, what's the money? And if they say, well, we don't really have a budget here, basically you're going to be working for scraps and this or that, and it's not going to be any money. Then you have to make a decision. Is it worth your time and effort to work on something that's free? Maybe it is if you're just starting out. You need to practice or whatever. Very rarely, though. I mean, for a guy like me, I just can't afford to even do it anymore. Ardent, I'm a bit behind and you're over time, so I'll say great stream and see you next time now. See you, Ardent. Green Goblin Norman Osborn died in the first Spider-Man movie. Yes, he did. Was he in? He wasn't in Thunderbolts. I forget who was in it. But it was all these obscure villains, I guess. And then they brought him back, and then it was this big takedown of the Marvel heroes, and that's what was kind of cool about it. I don't think they can pull this off in the movies. I just don't. I think they're just going to start another superhero team that, I don't know. Does anybody care about, let's see, Red Guardian? No. Ghost? No. Julia Louise-Dreyfus is Valentina Allegra de Fontaine? No. Bucky Barnes? Maybe. U.S. Agent? Maybe. And Florence Pugh, who? As the new Black Widow. Ardent, a wise man once said, if you're good at something, never do it for free. Exactly. So yeah, I don't think they can. I don't know what this is going to be, but I just don't see it working. Loki season 2. I can't believe there's a season 2. I just can't believe it. I can't believe there was a season 1. And keep in mind, I have never seen this show. I've only seen the clips, but they're absolute cancer to me. JC, I think Norman Osborn founded the Thunderbolts, so he was in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, and that's another guy who should have stayed dead, right? Marvel bringing him back. But, with comic books, you sort of give it a pass sometimes, but that was like too long. Loki season 2, yes. No. Look, Tom Hiddleston's great. I love him in the role, but I mean, I just don't. This show has probably done more damage to the MCU than anything else because the storyline ties into everything, and they're just unraveling it and trying to make it so everything is everything and all the time. You can do anything you want, and people can be dead and alive. It doesn't matter. There's a million universes, and everybody's alive, everybody's dead. I mean, what? Everybody's a man, everybody's a woman. No. Ardent, Norman Osborn, I think you mean, was the Iron Patriot in the Thunderbolts comic. Yes, okay. Yeah, that would work. But Norman Osborn isn't established, so you can't do him. They're not even listed, that character in the Thunderbolts. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work, Thunderbolts. And finally, Ironheart. Ugh. Ironheart is just not going to work at all. I mean, you're going to follow... nobody should be following Robert Downey Jr. He's just too good. Who the hell could you possibly get? Ardent Pugh. Not Pugh. Pugh. Looks like Pugh to me, like Hugh. Who? Ironheart. Yeah, no. Ironheart. This is dumb. This is the dumbest idea ever put on the sked at Disney. You're going to put Ironheart on. A comic that couldn't sell. Like, American Chavez, they rammed that down everybody's throat, but, I mean, I guess they sold 10,000 copies at some point. Like, Ironheart, I mean, this was not a successful comic. You cannot say, you can say objectively it was an unsuccessful comic, in my view. You're going to put this out there. Who? For who? LOL, just spotted my typo. Northern Osborn. Yeah. So, I mean, Ironheart, that's going to save the MCU? No way. No way. And the rest of the list includes Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which I did a video on. Looks awful. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. I do kind of want to see it because I love Ant-Man, but I don't know, man. Ardent, yeah, where was the to be announced during the Multiverse of Madness? TBA? Where was the TBA during the Multi-Universe of Madness? The TBA. Oh, that's the organization in Loki. Yeah, nowhere, because it's wildly inconsistent in my view. Then the Marvels. That's going to be... Oh, man. I can't wait for the Marvels to come out because it's going to be absolute trash, I think. That's going to be hopefully the end of Brie Larson's career. Ardent, Bug Ironheart might have your CGI RDG. Oh, no. Please. Please don't say there's going to be a CGI Robert Downey Jr. No. Maybe like as Iron Man, I guess you're saying, but... but Ironheart might have your CGI Robert Downey Jr. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to go see it. No way. No way would I support Ironheart. It's going to do to the movies what it did to the comics. It's just going to... I don't think it's going to do any business. I think it's just going to be utter trash. Like, Black Panther will do okay. Because it's coming off the heels of the first movie. People want this to be good. I wanted it to be good. It's not going to be good in my view. You're going to see a big drop off on it, just like Thor, I think. But it'll still, like Thor, it'll still make its money. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I don't know. It's kind of 50-50. But I kind of want it to be good. I'm kind of black-pilled about it. I think it'll be bad. Marvels will just be absolute awful. Echo, is that a movie or is it going to be a TV show? Either way, bleh. Daredevil Born Again, I don't know. I think that could only disappoint the fans because I think they're going in a lighter direction with it. So, yeah. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was the other movie I talked about. Paul Rudd is awesome. TVA, yeah. Effing typepost R. Oh, TVA, right. That's the name of the organization. The only other thing I wanted to talk about that they announced... Oh, wait, no, 2 movies. National Treasure, which I did a video about, which is, to me, the Da Vinci Code for morons. And it just... I don't know why they're doing this show. I would love to have been in this movie, or in this meeting, and just been like, wait a minute. National Treasure? Nick Cage, you want to do a TV show based on that? Yeah! Why? Why would you want to do... Who would watch this? Is Nick Cage going to be in it? No. We'll recast the whole thing. then what is the purpose of this movie? Like, what other stories could you possibly have to tell with National Treasure? And the movie's terrible. Like, Arden, no, as Tony, I was tricked into reading one issue of Ironheart. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you're okay. So yeah, like National Treasure. What? Don't get that at all. What a terrible thing to greenlight. All the things you could greenlight. Like, you could take a Disney property, and my friend worked at Disney, and she had to go through the trademark books. All the things Disney owns. And they own hundreds and hundreds of trademarks. Movies, TV shows that haven't been around since the 50s or 40s. Some movies that haven't been around since the 30s. Right? Like, they own the rights to that Sean Connery Leprechaun movie. Like, it's one of the first movies he was in, if not the first movie he was in. I forget what it's called, but you could do a TV show based on that. Who the hell would remember that movie? No one. And you could revamp the whole thing and do whatever the hell you want with it. And it's still a trademark. You still wouldn't have to pay for it, I guess. National Treasure? The fans of National Treasure are going to pour out for this? What, are you out of your mind? There's no fan base for National Treasure in my view. There's a fan base for Nick Cage. That's why people went to go see it. So Nick Cage could steal the Declaration of Independence. Arden. They race swapped Neymar to an Aztec from an Inuit. I so don't care about Neymar. I mean, Neymar, too old of a character. Ardent, willing to bet the new Daredevil thing will be very anti-religion. Maybe. I don't know. The main thing is it's probably not going to be R-rated. It looks like it's going to be lighter. They're already sort of making buzz about that. Ardent, we need people like you to win a big Powerball jackpot so we can get a good flicks again. Yeah, love that. I'm with you there. And the only thing else I wanted to talk about before I wrap was, let's see if they have it here. This is Cosmic Book News, by the way. Good site. Oh, The Little Mermaid. That's getting trashed already. I don't have it here, but it was somewhere. The Indiana Jones 5 movie. Now, if you haven't seen Doomcock's videos on the absolute wreck that Indiana Jones sounds like it's turning into, where they're passing the torch to Waller-Bridge, this chick Waller-Bridge who plays Helena, who's going to be a 70s feminist, who's going to be the new Indiana Jones, everybody, because patriarchy. Yes, fighting patriarchy throughout the ages. That's what she'll do. Ardent, Darby O'Gill? I remember that character vaguely. Yeah, so I don't have a link for this. I thought it was on here. So Indiana Jones 5, and it sounds like during the D23 where they showed this thing, they haven't put it on YouTube yet. It sounds like Harrison Ford's being held hostage while he talks about this movie. And that he's trying to pass the torch on to Waller-Bridge, who just, I don't know how this woman got stuck in the middle of this thing, or why they thought it would be a good idea to pass the torch to someone who has zero connection to Indiana Jones. To, you know, it would have been different if, like, I don't know, it was Harrison Ford's daughter, or if it was, you know, a woman who had worked on an early Indiana Jones movie as a kid, and she was an actress, and now she's going to be in it. Some kind of history, some sort of tie to Indiana Jones. Like, these people are bending over backwards to kind of wedge Waller-Bridge into the new Indiana Jones. Like, you could just start a new character. Start a new character. This is a new character. Maybe she knew Indiana Jones. You can make allusions to him or whatever. You're Disney. You own it. So whatever. But the actual pass the torch movie, when Harrison Ford is 80 and way past his prime. I mean, I don't know what happened to Harrison Ford. I don't know. JC, Kathleen Kennedy is a big fan of Fleabag fan. That's the show. I was trying to think of it as I was talking about her. Or whatever that show that chick wrote. Yeah, it was Fleabag. It was Fleabag, JC. Yeah, it's like, so what? Fleabag definitely wasn't about that, from what I understand. So, what? Just off the rails, like, at least if you had somebody, who was, I don't know, like Angelina Jolie at least played Lara Croft, okay, that would be something. Okay, now we're going to make, I mean, you could just make your own version of Indiana Jones with a female lead. That's basically like Lara Croft. I mean, that's all Lara Croft is. Just a hot Indiana Jones. Ardent, that Sean Connery Leprechaun movie, that was Darby O'Gill. Oh, and The Little People. Yeah, that's it. I couldn't think of the name. Darby O'Gill and The Little People. And I think does he do an Irish accent in that? I forget. I don't think he does. Because it's Sean Connery. He'd slap you if you said, hey, do an Irish accent. I don't have to do an Irish accent. I can't do a Scottish one. Anyhow, but this Waller-Bridge, I mean, even if they were going to make a good movie, let's say they had a good script and Doomcock's predictions weren't probably uncannily accurate. JC, more like flee from the bag. More like flee for your life. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, why not just do a different movie? Why not just do a different movie with a different character? If you want to do a whole adventure thing, I mean, why are women so obsessed with co-opting our stuff? Like, Indiana Jones, you can't feminize him. It just won't work. The whole thing collapses. He's a hero. Ardent, too many plane crashes. You can't feminize Indiana Jones. It just doesn't work. You know, just do a different thing. Do your own thing, ladies. You're so good and empowered. Okay, do your own thing. You know, a female movie that worked, the original League of Their Own. That was okay. That worked. You know? Sigourney Weaver in Aliens. That worked. She wasn't a man in it. She didn't act like a man. She acted like a competent woman. You know, there are others. Why not just do an original character? I have an original character, by the way, for screenplay about a super spy who fights vampires. And, you know, could be a franchise if you wanted to do it, but you're going to do Indiana Jones and you're going to hammer in a character called Helena and make her the new Indiana Jones. And if you watch the Doomcock video, you will be horrified at the story. The story is absolute horror. Ardent, Christina Hendricks as a grown-up Pippi Longstockings? Wow. Ardent, Connery did an Irish accent in The Untouchables. That's true. Kinda. Kinda. I guess it was kind of Irish. I don't know. It sounded Irish-Scottish to me, but yeah, I mean, it just sounds like it's all going to blow up in their face. I can't see any good. First off, the fourth Indiana Jones movie, everybody complained about. I think it made money, but I don't think it was a hit. I don't think you'd call it a hit. This movie looks like it's going to make that movie look like the first movie. Ardent, they don't do new movies with new characters because they're terrified of taking risk, given how much money is on the table. I kind of understand. Sure, I understand too, but there's a way to do it and still use the moniker, let's say, right? So Indiana Jones, The Next Generation. I mean, that's a crappy title, and I'm just doing it off the top of my head, but let's say you do that. So you bring in Waller-Bridge as the daughter of Shia LaBeouf's character in the modern day. Boom, you're set. You're going to have Harrison Ford show up as Grandpa Indiana Jones, and if Shia LaBeouf continues to get his act together, you can have him show up too. Right? You make him a little older, because he's probably not old enough to play that role yet, but And if Shia doesn't want to do it, you kill him off, and you don't need him. But the Doomcock video about this whole time travel thing, it is terrible. I mean, it is just terrible. Ardent, super spy versus vampire? Yes, please. Yeah. See, you're already on board. And she's hot, and she kills the vampires, and it makes sense because vampires normally pick on women, and so there's a whole thing. There's a whole logic behind it. Indiana Jones, it's like, first off, you're past the bad guys from Germany, who I won't say on the stream. So you don't have them to be the villain, which is why I think they're doing time travel. The fourth movie bombed because then they tried to hammer in, didn't bomb, I guess, but they tried to hammer in, let's see if it bombed. I'm going to check. I don't know. Indiana Jones 4, I guess it's called. Indiana Jones. Didn't even do box office today. Come on, give me the numbers. All right, Indiana Jones 5. The Crystal Skull. 317 million. So I guess it did okay. 317 million domestic, 786 worldwide. It did okay, and this is 2008. So it did all right for that time. I don't know if you'd call it a hit. Ardent, Indiana Jones fans hated Crystal. Yeah, hated it. Because that damn refrigeration scene and a few other scenes, The Martian didn't work. It's just, but five is looking like it's gonna make you wish it was 4. It's gonna be that bad from what if Doomcock's predictions are true. Now Doomcock also predicted, these aren't predictions, but the rumor was, Bob Chapek would finally fire the woke, and he's playing like a 4D chess game. I don't think that's happening now. I mean, I kind of was hopeful in the beginning, wanted it to be true, but now doesn't seem that way. Seems like he's doubling and tripling down. But Ardent, modern day dodging ISIS to save archaeologists' artifacts. Hell yeah, yeah. See, you already got a friggin' pitch for it. All right, I'm gonna end this on the numbers for this is the 9th. Oh no, we need like the whole weekend. Need the whole weekend numbers. Let me try Box Office Mojo. Because what's today? Today's Sunday. Should get the weekend. Do we have weekend numbers yet? Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so this is weekend numbers so far. Sunday's not finished, but this is domestic box office. Barbarian, which looked awful, didn't look great. Ardent, the Germans with the windmills of unfriendliness. Yes. Barbarian's number 1 with 10 million. That's like nothing. These numbers can't be totally accurate yet. Number 2 is Brahmaster Part 1, Shiva. So you're telling me an Indian movie is number 2 domestically. That would be impressive if true. I don't think that all the numbers, they must not be in it yet. They must not all be in yet. Bullet Train somehow squeaks into 3. Guess it's hanging on because I don't know. I don't know why that movie's hanging on. I guess because of Brad Pitt. Number 4 is Top Gun Maverick. I mean, it's finally looks like it's finally dying out at 3 million, but still. I mean, the box office is so anemic. 5 DC League of Super Pets. Wow, look at that. They're at 85 million total gross, so maybe they're going to break even on that thing. The Invitation's already dipped down to 6, which I'm kind of shocked. It didn't look that bad. It looked fine. It's in a lot of theaters. Doesn't seem to be doing that well. Lifemark? I don't know what the hell that is. 2 million. Beast? Another movie I thought would do better, but... number 9, Minions. Ticking down. Number 10, Spider-Man No Way Home. The Beast. Still in there. Still in the top 10 for the re-release. Did anybody see that? JC. Haha, Hollywood is over. Jeez, I know. These numbers are terrible. Absolute terrible. This is just awful. Did anybody go to the movies this weekend? What was this weekend? I was at a book signing. So last weekend was Labor Day. I guess everybody got it out of, everybody spent their money last weekend, and now they're all like, screw it. I spent all my money. Summer's over. I'm just going to hunker down. Just going to hunker down now because I'm losing my shirt here. Jeez. Let's see if we got daily numbers here. They're any better. Yeah. It's just terrible. Yeah, that's the whole weekend. I mean, Barbarian topped it the whole weekend. That's crazy. That's nuts. I didn't think Barbarian would do any business. You're telling me that's the top movie this weekend? JC Queen died. Obviously, they were home mourning. Maybe. Poor. Labor Day weekend didn't do much better. I mean, Top Gun did okay, I guess. Bullet Train was 2. Spider-Man No Way Home, number 4. EIRR Resquat in Peace. Oh, Elizabeth II. Elizabeth II, is that what you meant by that? Yes, rest in peace, Queen, and rest in peace, Hollywood box office, apparently. You are A. You are a total A these days. I think on that sort of somber note, I'm going to end the stream because I've got to pee. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for everybody who tuned in. Zach, shoot me an email if I didn't scare you off by demanding money. Those of you, I will be, let's see, what's next week's live stream? Is it going to happen? It should happen. I got to do a show on Saturday. The rain date is Sunday. I'm pretty sure I'll be fine because it's very 9/11 anniversary. JC, long live the king. Yeah, I hope he does well. He could do well. He's already looking like he's screwing up, but 9/11 anniversary, yeah. I mean, it was what it was. Yeah, so next week I should be good for the live stream on Sunday. If I get rained out, I'll let you know. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Ardent, polling shows Brits want Chuck to abdicate for William. Yeah, I could see that happening. Charles is